What's up guys, my name is Tim and today I will dive into MCP servers. I will explain to you what they are, why you should care and how to make them work with your Mendix applications. Let's dive in. Alright, so what are MCP servers? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It is designed by Anthropic and it's basically just another standardized communication protocol like for example REST or SOAP. Basically, it's a way for your AI model to talk with your server, which contains the tools and prompts that you would like to make available to the AI model. So, what can you actually do with this? Well, you can expose two types of things to your AI. At first, you get your tools. These are actions that the AI can perform. Think database queries, updates, calculations, sending emails, basically any type of microflow that does something. On the other hand, we got our prompts. These are templates for structured responses like report formats, email templates, or any structured data that you want your AI to generate consistently. The cool thing is, once you set this up, the AI can see all available tools and prompts, understand what they do from their descriptions, and decide when to use them based on the user request. It's all kind of automatic. You just define what's available and the AI figures out the rest. Now, why should you care about this? Look, AI is everywhere nowadays. Most of you have probably already tried ChatGPT or Claude. They are amazing for having conversations, getting code help, solving technical problems. But here's the thing. What if they could actually perform actions within your Mendix applications? Not just tell you how to do something, but actually do it. Well, guess what? They can now, and this is a game changer. Think about it. You can enable your users with AI capabilities directly inside your Mendix app. Imagine your users saying something like, update all pending orders from last week to confirmed. And the AI doesn't just understand what they want, it actually does it. Using your business logic, your validations, and your security rules. This means you can let AI handle complex multi-step processes, create conversational interfaces to your existing business logic, give your users an AI assistant that actually knows how to use your app, and turn every microflow you've ever built into an AI accessible function. This isn't science fiction, guys. This is available right now, and I will show you how to set it up. Alright, so for demo purposes, I have set up a new Mendix application, which I have called MCP Demo. We are currently running in Mendix version 10.21.1, which is not an MTS or LTS release, but is necessary in order to be able to download the MCP server module from the Mendix marketplace. So without further ado, I will open up the marketplace. I will search for the MCP server module, open it up. Now, an important note about this module is that it is relatively new. We are looking at a first release, which was published on April 25th of this year. And I'll be honest, it really is a first release. It is not perfect yet and still misses some functionalities. But it's a great stepping stone to get a first glance into the world of MCP servers within your Mendix application. I've left a positive review on this module. I really like the module and the functionality that it has to offer. However, I had a question about built-in security options to leverage your Mendix built-in security with your MCP server, to which the innovation and incubation team has replied that built-in security is not included yet in this first release, but will definitely come into future releases, which is really interesting and absolutely necessary. What I do think that works pretty well in this version already is to publish tools to your MCP server, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I will download this module, set up the MCP server, add the tool to it, and then use it from another AI client. So let's download it. It is now successfully added to our Mendix application. Here it is. It is a relatively small module. It contains a small domain model, a couple of Java actions, and one microflow. For our purpose today, we will use the create MCP server and the add tool Java action together with this text content entity. Alright, so let's set up our first MCP server and add a tool to it. So for our use case, we can reuse this my first logic microflow, just remove the annotation and maybe rename it to MCP server. This is fine. Drag and drop the create MCP server Java action in here. It contains 3 parameters that we need to configure. The first one is path, the second one name, and the third one is version. The path will become the URL path where the server will become available. The name is what your AI sees as your server name, and the version is just for version tracking for your server. So for our use case, we can set the path to to MCP demo. The name, we can name it my Mendix MCP server, and for the version we can set it to 1.0.0. Alright, so we now created our MCP server instance, which is an object, and we need to validate whether it is created correctly, if it's filled. So we'll add a check in here, MCP server filled. We'll check if it's not empty, and if it's filled, then we'll say, okay, MCP server initiated. And if it fails, then we'll say it's an error, MCP server initiation failed. All right, so this is our basic template for the MCP server initiation. Alright, so now that we have set up the base for our MCP server, let's add a tool to it. We can simply drag and drop this add tool Java action from the MCP server into our microflow. It will require us to configure 5 parameters, which are name, description, schema, execution microflow, and MCP server. The name is what the AI will call the tool. The description, it tells the AI what the tool does. The schema will tell the AI how to call upon the tool. The execution microflow is the microflow that we trigger each time when we call upon this tool. And the MCP server is the instance that we just created. So for our demo, we're just going to create a simple log tool, which we will call log tool. And the description will be logs anything to the console. Then the schema, I've prepared this so that I don't have to type it out. It's type object with properties. These are the parameters that the microflow expects, and it's of type string. We say it is required, meaning that we're saying to the AI, each time when you call upon this tool, we require you to provide a log message, else it will not work. We didn't create the tool yet, so the execution microflow we will configure a bit later, and the MCP server is the instance that we just created. Alright, so now let's create the log tool. We'll create a new microflow, which we will call log tool, and we're going to build a very simple microflow which gets one parameter, which is of type string, and is called log message. And all that we want to do is we're going to log this message to the console. I will give it a log node with tool call so that we know when the tool call is executed, and the input will be log message. Every tool call expects an object in return. So we'll create a new object and we'll select the text content object. Then we'll set the content attribute of this object, and we'll set it to quote log message quote is logged to the console. like this. So when it's done, we're replying to the AI that the message that it provided to us is logged to the console. And then we'll set it as the real return value. Okay, so this is it. Now we'll set this log tool or select it as our tool microflow. And now we've added our tool to the MCP server. All right, in order to use this MCP server, you can add this microflow to your after startup microflow, or you can simply create a button to manually trigger it, like we're going to do right now. We're going to add a button to our home web page, which will give the caption Start MCP Server. And when it's clicked, we're going to select this MCP server microflow, and basically what it will do, it will start it up and it will be accessible from then. So now I'll run the app and we'll see if it works. The app is running now, so let's view it. Here we got the home page, including our Start MCP Server button. When we click it, we'll see MCP Server initiated, which means that the server is now running and that we can access it with our AI client. So now that we got our MCP server running, we are able to use it via our AI client. I will use Claude for this. To configure your MCP server, click on this menu button, then File, and then Settings. This should open up a pop-up window. From here, navigate into Developer. Here you can see all your configured MCP servers, which is empty for now. We want to add our MCP server to the configuration. So we will click on the Edit Config button, which will open up the File Explorer. And from here, we will open the Claude desktop config.json file. In here, we will copy our configuration. Like this. I will not go into this too much. This config would translate into an npx command line prompt, which would connect us with the server on the specified URL with an additional flag that it should accept HTTP, as we're running this locally, so we don't have HTTPS. Now, if I save this, close it up, and then I close Claude and restart it. After restarting, if everything goes correctly, it should automatically connect with the MCP server. Now in your chat, when clicking on this button, you will see that Claude has access to your MCP server and the tools within. Now let's test it out. We will ask it to log hello Mendix community to the console. It will probably ask you for permission to execute the tool if it's loading. And there we go. I say allow once. And it says that the tool was a success. When I click this open, you can see how it's communicating with the server. The input is the log message as we specified, and the output is the content attribute from the text content entity which we are giving back from our log tool. Now just to verify that it was actually executed, here you can see in the console logs that it actually executed. And that's it. Alright, so to wrap this up, what we have done is we talked about what MCP servers are, why it's important to be aware of them as a Mendix developer, and I've shown you how to use them in your Mendix applications. It's still a bit early to really get going with these within your production grade applications, but because the concept of MCP servers is so powerful, I found it important to discuss these to make the community aware of that this technology is available. So I'm really curious about what you guys are going to use MCP servers for. Let me know in the comments or let's connect via LinkedIn.